Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to expose the biggest lies of the biggest bear fanatics in the past. About bears dominating bulls and lions in the Gold Rush event, where they also claimed bears dominated and one-shotted bulls and lions. Warning, this following topic contains overwhelming proof to back up its claims that may be harmful or traumatizing to some bear fanatics. Exposing the lies of the bear fanatics. We'll cover all the lies stemmed from the biased people of California and uncover the real truth in what happened in the famous fight of the lion Parnell against the grizzly bear Ramadan, and exploit all the internet bear fanatics who keep bragging such ignorant claims or lies and thinking bears can just dominate an African lion easily. First example. This book was published in 1996. The grizzly bear Ramadan handled Parnell the lion as a cat would a rat, and killed the lion quickly. Some of them even mix up the locations to fool the people. Another source, Animal Life and Law, published from 1966. This biased source mentioned, bears were usually the victor in California pit fights, and hilariously exaggerate about bears one-shotting bulls by one paw blow. However, this author is not satisfied with his lies, so he lies about another case of bears killing for bison bulls, one after one. Another newspaper source, published in 1954. This source lied again to promote their ideology that lied about bears one-shotting bulls by one paw blow in California Gold Rush days, and again, lied about the bear winning in the fight against the lion. Another source from a different newspaper, published in 1977. This source claims bulls were no match for grizzly bears. Again, this also mentions about Parnell the lion. Another source published in 1902. They claimed the bear defeated Parnell. And now to prove that all of these misinformation about bears dominating in the Gold Rush event held in California was all a big lie, invented by the biased people of California. The reality of what actually took place in the Gold Rush days by Colonel Boone. There were a few staged fights held in California to Mexico on different multiple occasions from the year 1894 to 1895. This is Colonel Boone, who owned Parnell the lion and 3 grizzly bears. All 3 grizzly bears were defeated by his own lion Parnell. Fight 1. Parnell killed the grizzly bear that weighs 1,750 pound Monarch at San Francisco in March 1894. Californian grizzly bear named Monarch and an African lion named Parnell were to have a fight in a cage arranged by their trainer, David Boone. Fight 2. This fight was originally scheduled in April 27, 1984. However, due to law enforcement and animal rights activists, the schedule was cancelled over and over again, until it happened in the year 1895. This was the source that mentioned Parnell killed Siskiyou, the 850-pound grizzly bear. As mentioned, this fight was stopped by authorities, and it was reported Parnell killed Siskiyou as well in his cage. A third bear was ordered, and finally the fight took place for the audience. Fight 3. A fight between Parnell and Ramadan the grizzly bear happened at Laredo, Texas in the year 1895. The first round was a tie, but at the second round, Parnell was declared the winner because of Ramadan refusing or being afraid to steal the meat at Parnell that was thrown inside the cage. The extension of the fight from another source, but Colonel Boone was not satisfied, and he arranged another meeting. He starved the animals some more and fetched them together again. He tried a new scheme. He pitched the bear a chunk of meat. The lion promptly waltzed up and grabbed it, and the bear stood for his work. Another bologna was tossed to the representative of California prowess. The lion got up from where he was gnawing his calf's liver and annexed that too, and the bear never made a protest, The bear seemed to have quit flat at the start. The contest was awarded to the lion on default, and the bear was drummed out of the fighting fraternity. But Colonel Boone still holds his opinion about the California grizzly. The bear didn't steal the meat and cowered like a bitch against the lion. We can see this in real life too.
他俩就不怎么太敢去，
是吧？
妈的，感情垒球队员了。
饿了。
饿了。哎呦我去！
谁狠？
As you can see, nothing has changed.
路上没有？
What happened here also happened in Laredo, Mexico. Grizzly bears do not want to mess with the king of the beasts. Fight 4. Newspaper from 1895. It was reported that Panther the bull killed Ramadan, the grizzly bear. Another source, published in 1895, Ramadan or Ramadan the grizzly bear was killed by Panther the Spanish bull. Another newspaper in 1895. The bear is the same that fought Parnell. Another source, the bear died in the arena. Fight 528. From the Anaconda Standard, Parnell was afterwards fought against 4 bulls, one at a time, and in the last encounter lost his life. The first bovine gladiator was old, and he was killed easily by the lion. The second and third made a better fight, but were put out of time in a little while. The fourth bull caught Parnell in the mouth with its horn, and drove the horn up through the roof of the mouth into the lion's brain, killing him. Basically, Parnell was so badass for a lion that lives in captivity. He managed to kill 2 grizzly bears, defeated 1 grizzly, and even managed to kill 3 more Spanish bulls in a span of 1 year. Chronology of the fight. All of the original sources or newspaper reports, fresh and directly after the event, were debunked. All of these biased sources of die-hard bear enthusiasts from the 1900s. Fresh reports directly after it happened. There was no lion that was killed by a bear in that event. Many sources said Parnell was killed by a bull, not by a bear. Do you know why people from California were so biased? Of course, the grizzly bear is their native animal and national animal in California. These biased Californian writers made their native animal as if they truly were undefeated and usually won against the bulls. The Californians were so biased for their prized national animal, stated the bear whipped the lion and drew up some phony sketches, saying they were spectators. For sure they were just pissed off that a previous article 5 years prior already published the second half fight with Parnell and Ramadan, and that bear cowered like a bitch from the lion when Parnell went right up to his face and took his meal twice, and the bear was declared the loser. By the time the story got all the way back to California, the bear's birthplace and national symbol, the story changed dramatically. From over 100 news articles that said the fight was a draw, into the Californians swapped it out for grizzly bear whips king of beasts. As you can see, the ones who lied are people from San Francisco, California. You don't go by a writer depicting and illustrates in the books and newspapers that bears were dominant animal and who was never really there to witness such fights. You go by the sources which the eyewitnesses were there and what they saw during the year it happened. Analysis. It's because of how far those type of BS stories floated around for. Take a look at the chronology of that story was. 1. Colonel Daniel Boone sets up 8 fights, all 7 fights, which the lion Parnell won against the bears and bulls. 2. A decade later, a fight only quoted in the part of Ramadan's draw. 3. A decade later, said a bear and a lion fought and the bear threw the lion down. 4. A half-century later, an article said Parnell was killed by the bear. 5. A century later, the Great Bear Almanac and California Gold Rush Stories published their books in this decade, saying a lion named Parnell, the same lion that beat and killed the bears and lied about bears dominating bulls. 6. TV comes along with QI and says the lions used in so many fights in California had the lion bludgeoned to death by a single blow by the bear's paw. 7. Bear fans all over the web citing it, quoting it and jumping for joy. 8. Neutral fans who question it come along, looks up the words originally used. Bears usually winning was not as the original story claimed. As I showed newspaper archives, people who were there on that very link showed that the specific fight had no such bear kill a lion. The newspaper archives, so graciously preserving over 300 years worth of newspaper articles, has neutral person look through it and bam, finds the original, presents it and shatters a 100 years of bear fans making up the most silliest of lies, pure bias talk in favoring their cherished national animal of California, and most ignorantly lied, not even knowing the story of countless of books, just repeating a false quota and spread propaganda and bias lies. Grizzly bear throughout history is known to be no match against a full-grown healthy bull. All of these artifacts proved bears were usually the loser between the two. This is the source that said bears always lose against bulls. In pit fights, in the fight between bulls and bears, Bruins usually came off second best. Another factor that bear can only beat a bull is when the bull's horns were sawed off or cut off. Source where it mentioned bears can only kill bulls when the bull's horn is dulled. The bull, unless his horns were clipped, is generally or usually victorious against bears. One of the main factors that the bull ever lost to the bear was when his horns were blunted or sawed off. This would save the bear from getting gored, puncturing the face or throat area for an instant kill, and saving him from being disemboweled or just dying from a massive loss of blood from multiple puncture wounds from 1-2 to foot sharp pointed horns if the bull was tied to the bear, diminishing the bull's full powered rush, which does two things. 1. Hinders the bull's mobility. After a rush, bulls usually go straight forward. They cannot turn well, so being attached and entangled with the bear from the rope would give the bear more of a chance to grab a bull and hang on. 2. The bull can reach up to 45 mph. The faster the bull runs, the more impact he will have. So if he's tied to the bear, he can only accumulate up to 10 to 20 feet of acceleration at a time. Any farther away, and he could literally use his weight, 2,000 plus pounds, plus velocity to ram the bear, breaking his back or anything that he comes in contact with instantly. If the bull was hardly ever a full-grown male, only semi-adults, it is mentioned in matador fights that there are rules to bull fighting. They cannot allow fighters to fight a bull that passes 1,400 pounds because the power output would shatter bones instantly, and the age requirements are the same. If the bull is in his prime, the bull will already have experienced a consistency of fighting naturally in his herd. So only semi-adults and or very old bulls are used in fighting. For before these rules were applied, in ancient bull fights, bulls cleaned out a line of matadors before succumbing. After 10 matadors, he was then set free for showing his power, honor and bravery. The bull was beaten and exhausted before the fight began. It is common knowledge and common practice by the Spaniards and matadors alike to beat the bull and exhaust him before the fight. Bulls have one of the best stamina gauges out of all the four-legged quadrupeds, and in the wild can run miles 4 hours at a time in their herds or coalitions when migrating. So a freshly turned bull would be almost impossible to be tired in a single fight. If the horsemen allowed the bear to recover, the horsemen, people in the ring as well, aka as referees, gives the bear time to recover by one rider distracts the bull and runs off into the arena, allowing the bull to chase him instead of pursuing the bear, and another rider lassoed the bear to hold him still. For his vitality to come back, for some fights have lasted up to hours. If they used multiple bears on one bull, unless for a special event where a bear had killed a villager, they used 2 bulls at once to one bear, knowing it will be quick and a swift kill. But for gambling purposes, the normal occasion, they often use multiple bears, 1 to 2, to even sometimes 3 bears to one bull, because of the bull's consistency in killing single bears commonly. The bears cost more money than the bulls. Bears were still one of the higher risk to capture, and by far more rare than any animal of the pit fights, while bulls are domesticated and are basically free upon request of village ranchers. On special occasions, there were more than a few gambling testimonials stated that the bears, which cost so much, the amount which the stockers and bookers of the fight could lose their share of the wins, and was often never risked any serious harm done by the bulls. So all that I previously just stated were taken precautions to make the fight unequal for the bull, and more of a leverage for the bear regardless what size he was. Bulls in general would outmuscle any predator, even the biggest of grizzly and polar bears. The fabled 2,000-pounders would get tossed right over a car like nothing from the sheer brute power of a bull, then stomped on and gored to death with 1 to 3 foot javelin or lance-pointed horns. Their mindsets are pushers and pullers. They are built to move heavy amounts of weights. Farmers used them to walk miles a day, pulling machinery, sometimes broken tractors. Even a prime bear with all his might would get dragged like a stuffed doll. All of these books have now been exploited. Some accounts of bears being killed by bulls. 1,000-pound bull kills a bigger bear that weighs 1,200 pounds. Bears are very overrated in the media. Despite being bigger, the bear is no match against a smaller bull. Young bison kills an adult female grizzly. The details: bull moose kills full-grown Kodiak bear. Moose defeats rival, and then 2 bears at once. A trapper, arriving upon the scene at the close of this pitched battle, found one of the bears dying from a horn thrust in the abdomen. The other bear had taken to a tree and clung there with his tongue hanging out, plainly willing to admit he had more than met his match. Bull kills 2 bears in the same fight. A buffalo bull has also been known to battle a grizzly bear to death. Bull whips large grizzly. An event the moose won by breaking the bear's back with his 4 feet. And another source: wild bull kills 1,000-pound wild grizzly in the wild. When the bull tossed its head, the limp body of the grizzly was thrown its length away, where it crumpled in a shapeless heap and lay still. As I've proven, The die-hard bear enthusiasts are one of the biggest liars in history, lying and exaggerating about bears being dominant over bulls and lions in the California pit fights. I've already proven bears don't really strike with their paw. But the bear fanatics lied about bears killing bulls by one blow, as if bears have superpowers. It is obvious these nut jobs purposely misinformed the general public to support their ideology. They have their interior motive. The lion owns 100% his 1,000 years title of King of the Beasts, as he is the toughest of all. A trainer said, when a new mature male lion is introduced, all animals, tigers and bears, are afraid of the lion. The animal instinct tells the truth. But the male lion is not afraid of them. The lion knows he is the king and the other animals as well. As a general rule, a healthy male lion is designed for domination. As for the bull-killing lions, we don't know the whole story if a lion gets killed by a bull. Some people will try to devalue the lion as much as possible, like not showing what the lion achieved prior. Palmel the lion killed 3 Spanish bulls, and only show when the lion gets finally killed by another bull. As a general rule, taking a lion that is born in captivity, that lives in a small cage, and then pitting it with a bull is kinda unfair. If the lion was born in captivity or locked in a cage, and not a free lion, he has sufficient fitness or experience on bull predation like the battle-hardened lions, all the wild ones, not to mention the health complications such as weaker bones, skulls and etc. There's a huge difference between being born in the wild that had learned to kill buffalo before, and born in captivity cats. However, Lion Parnell is one of the lions that is built differently, despite him being born in captivity. He achieves something impressive for a lion that has no prior experience hunting bulls. It is confirmed by scientific facts that the male lions single-handedly and regularly targets adult Cape buffalo bulls on their own. If you want to learn more, watch this video. The bull is a grizzly bear's nightmare. The grizzly bear's skill is not enough to dominate a bull. The bear hugs and awaits for assault, as stated in this newspaper. Just watch how lions masterfully dodge bull attacks.
Get away. Oh! Oh!
Lions can dodge paw swipes that can travel around at a speed of 18 feet per second. There's no predator that can dodge paw swipes like the lion, not even any extant big cats. The bear is not a better fighter or a better hunter than the lion.
Me, I always tell the truth, even when I lie. So say good night to the bad guy.